and thank you so much for being with us on this Tuesday, September 2nd. Hoping everybody had a safe and happy and relaxing Labor Day weekend. It is back to reality. I'm meteorologist Leah Pizzetti, and this is Weather Out West, our show where we will spend the next hour talking about everything happening weather-wise across the western United States, from the Pacific Northwest to the Southwest and everything in between. We begin on this September 2nd, first week of September. We think temperatures should be cooling down, but not so fast in eastern Washington. We first send things to Nicole Hernandez in Spokane with a look at the heat alerts in place for eastern Washington.
I'm Nicole Hernandez in Spokane, Washington, and we are dealing with some very hot temperatures. It is officially meteorological fall, but it does not feel that way. It does not look that way. Take a look at this live look over Silver Mountain. Look at all the blue skies. Not a cloud in the sky. It's not quite as blue as you might expect from no clouds, but that's just a little bit of haze from some of the wildfires that are moving their way through the region. Other than that, our biggest thing is hot and sunshine. We are going to be very hot for the next few days. Like I mentioned about that air quality, we do have a few air quality alerts that we'll talk about. And then just want to touch on the fact that we will have increased fire danger, not today, but tomorrow and Thursday. We're obviously hot all week, but tomorrow and Thursday we start to see some breezy conditions move their way through. Nothing critical, just enough to, with the combination of the heat and the breeziness, cause that potential increased fire danger. The heat, though, is the real thing we're talking about for the next few days. We are under a heat advisory for, look at this, our entire region. Some of us, like out in Omak, near Grand Coulee, Wenatchee, Moses Lake, you are under extreme heat warnings. That's because of even hotter temperatures in those spots. What I mean by hot temperatures is near, at, or above 100 degrees. All summer long, we've been talking about this chance for 100 degrees sticking out in central Washington. We've never really had it move closer to us here in eastern Washington and North Idaho until this week. Yesterday, we saw record-breaking temperatures. Today, it looks like the same. 99, even potentially 100 degrees here in Spokane, Deer Park, Newport. Out in North Idaho, Coeur d'Alene, St. Mary's, the potential for 100, even slightly above that. Like I mentioned, that's record breaking. We are already into September. This time of year, our average temperatures are down into the high 70s. So a temperature of 99 is extremely above average for this time of year. The highest temperature we've seen on this exact day historically has been 97 back in 1988. So when we reach that 99, even potentially 100 degree point over the course of the afternoon, we will see a broken record for high temperature on this day specifically. We saw the same thing yesterday as well. We broke the high record temperature for yesterday, and that just means our overnight temperatures are sticking even warmer than normal. We haven't been able to cool down because of how hot we've been in the afternoons. Right now, it's just about 9 o'clock as I'm recording this, 78 degrees here in Spokane, 77 in Coeur d'Alene. So because we're seeing these really warm overnight temperatures, we have this weather impact alert. It's not just for the fact that we're extremely heat in the afternoon, but also because when we don't cool down overnight, it's hard for us to regulate our body temperature. It's hard for us to cool our houses down, especially if you don't have air conditioning. So we stick through this weather impact alert through Thursday, and that's because of these record-breaking high temperatures, overnight low temperatures, and we just want to make sure we're all staying hydrated and we're staying cool. The other thing I mentioned that we're looking at is air quality. As of 9 o'clock this morning in Stevens County, we've been seeing unhealthy air quality at 156 AQI. The forecast is for that to decrease a little bit, and we'll go back to the unhealthy for some. But either way, National Weather Service has a air quality advisory in effect for Stevens County because of this. Other than that, we're looking at our high temperatures sticking very hot for the next 7 days, and then we don't start to see things cool down until Saturday and Sunday when the ridge of high pressure starts to break.
Thank you, Nicole. And we now want to send things over to Hector Mendoza, who is in Boise, Idaho. Conditions in Idaho are also heating up. We're looking at record-breaking heat in that region as well. Let's get now to Hector with the latest there.
Hello, my name is Hector Mendoza, forecasting out here in Boise, Idaho, and it was a warm one for Labor Day as we hit triple-digit temperatures here in Boise, which tied the record for hottest Labor Day on record. Last time we saw Labor Day with those temperatures was back in 2007, and it was a hot afternoon, but I did want to show what the end of the day looked like as we take a look at this photo that we got sent in on our Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook page. Marvin sent this, and a beautiful, beautiful shot enjoying the sunset out at Shoshone Falls, and absolutely mesmerizing. As you can see the water down below through the canyon, just perfect picturesque day it was yesterday. But with those triple-digit temperatures that we did see yesterday, that has tacked on an extra day. So we've seen a total of 6 days at or above 100 degrees so far for this year. Now, the last time we hit triple digits was closer to the beginning or the middle of August. And then so it's been some time since we've seen that. Today, we're anticipating to follow suit with warmer temperatures today, possibly hitting triple digits here in Boise and other spots of the Treasure Valley. But now we are forecasting 99 here in Boise, 100 degrees out in Mountain Home. And we're going to climb up into those low 90s for McCall and Stanley, hitting around the upper 80s for Sun Valley. And into the Magic Valley, we hit those low to upper 90s for this afternoon. And that is going to be something that we're going to be paying attention to as we look at our headlines. We are going to continue with that sunny and dry pattern that holds steady into the next couple of days. We are going to see near record heat for today, and then we're going to start to see those clouds increase, see a little bit less of that sunshine, and we have a cool down that comes along as we get closer into the weekend. So as we take a look at our big picture setup, we continue with those warm temperatures as this ridge of high pressure continues building over the area here through the rest of the day today. But then we have some storms and a system that comes up from the south and makes its way over this ridge here that brings us some shower chances. It looks likely that it stays around the Idaho-Nevada border, but we are expecting to see a little bit of a cool down from today into tomorrow as we're going to start to see that this ridge is going to start to weaken. But it's not until the weekend that we see this system off into the Pacific that's going to really see some widespread shower chances across not only the mountains, but the Treasure and the Magic Valleys as well, with a chance to see some of those cooler temperatures return to more seasonal temperatures. And that's what we're expecting. So again, it's going to take some time. So as we look at Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to wrap up the work week, we continue dry and no chances of showers. It's not going to be later on as we see that system come in with some monsoon moisture that's already in place. That's what's going to boost up some of these chances as we get into Saturday, Sunday, and continuing on into Monday. It doesn't look like it impacts too much here into the weekend, but still can't rule out a chance for some of those showers and thunderstorms to roll along towards the afternoon and into the evening as we get closer to the beginning of next week. But as we look at the 7-day forecast here for the mountains, we're going to see that downward trend of temperatures. That'll also be the case here in the mountains as we'll continue into the mid 80s by Friday. We'll continue with some of these clouds and then shower chances come along for the weekend with temperatures climbing back down into those low 70s into Tuesday. Pretty similar here in the Magic Valley as we'll stay into the low 90s into Wednesday, upper 80s into Friday, and then back down into those low 80s to upper 90s as we head into Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday. It looks likely that the highest chance for some of the showers comes along for the Magic Valley as we get into Saturday. And then as we look at the 7-day forecast here for Boise, upper 90s today, mid 90s all the way through Thursday, with some of those clouds starting to make their increase there Wednesday into Thursday. We'll continue with those clouds, as you can see, all the way through the weekend and the beginning of next week. But then we'll see those temperatures from the mid 90s from Thursday drop down into the mid 80s there for Saturday and Sunday. And then we see cooler temperatures on tap for the beginning of next week into the low 80s there for the start of next week.
Thank you, Hector. And you know what? That cooling is a similar trend for other parts of the West Coast as well. Still ahead after the break, we're going to take a check on our forecast in California, where similar heat is here to start the week, but we're keeping an eye on a cool down. That's up after the break. Welcome back to Weather Out West. I'm your host, meteorologist Leah Pizzetti. We now want to check in on things in the Golden State. California is feeling the heat. We'll start in Northern California before a trip down to Southern California. But first, we begin with Brendan Minchef in Sacramento with a look on the heat in Northern California.
Hey, Brendan Minchef in Sacramento to open up this condensed work week. There's a lot of weather going on across Northern California, a lot of variable conditions for the coast. It's cool, But there have been some rip currents through the Labor Day weekend. We'll keep some of those concerns as we start this week. For the valley, it's hot once again, upper 90s, low hundreds. In the foothills, some hazy skies, especially in the first half of the day. But then we're going to be looking at some thunderstorms across the high country, and that will lead to some fire danger. Before we get to all that, though, let's look back at the Labor Day weekend across Northern California because it was hot. Some of the larger cities in the valley, well, Sacramento, of course, 103 degrees on Labor Day, tied for the hottest day of the year so far. Stockton and Vacaville both set or tied daily high temperature records through the long weekend. So even though Labor Day is supposed to be kind of the unofficial end of summer, Mother Nature did not get the message. As we look at some temperatures across the foothills and the Sierra for Tuesday, we've got a lot of 80s, we've got a lot of 90s. It's hot as you work your way down. In the high country, not so bad, especially around Tahoe, near 80 degrees. But again, we are going to have some thunderstorms in the area. Moving to the southern Sierra, Sequoia, Kings Canyon, about 80 degrees, 93 in Oakhurst, 91 in Yosemite. But there is a large fire over here, and that's putting out a lot of smoke, especially for the Yosemite area. Down in Fresno, it's 100 on Tuesday afternoon, 99 in Merced. Lower in the valley, 100 in Hanford, 104 in Bakersfield. Out along the coast, we're looking at those low 70s, Big Sur in the mid 70s, but Carmel 64, 65 in Monterey, 69 in Salinas, 70 in Santa Cruz. And as we work into the San Francisco Bay, we're looking at upper 60s right along the coast. Downtown San Francisco, about 72 degrees. East Bay, 76 in Oakland, 75 in Berkeley. North Bay, 80 in Vallejo, 85 up in Napa, 87 in Petaluma. As you work your way into the valley, though, 98 in Tracy, 95 in Rio Vista, 95 in Vacaville. Now, across the far north, we are looking at those upper 90s, even 100 degrees down there in Willows up near Shasta. Some upper 90s near Eureka, though, 61 degrees, about 70 in Redwood National Park, 66 in Fort Bragg, Lassen Volcanic National Park, 76. Closer to Sacramento, now we're looking at the capital region, 97 in Sacramento, 98 in Lodi, about 99 in Stockton, 100 in Modesto, and 100 in Patterson. So again, another hot afternoon. If we're looking for the end of the heat, well, on average, the last triple-digit day for Sacramento since 1990 has been September 9th. But of course, that's an average. If you think back to last October, the first few days of October were in the triple digits. So we can get that late season heat to linger. But September really is a turning point in terms of our seasons. We go from summer-like temperatures. September, our average high for the month is in the upper 80s, and then October, it's upper 70s. So we usually see a pretty significant downturn in temperatures as we head through September. And in fact, the next few days, leaning cooler, as what the Climate Prediction Center is suggesting. But remember, we have that chance of thunderstorms in the high country, so weather impact alert, high fire danger due to those widespread thunderstorms. So Tuesday and Wednesday, we've got that weather impact alert. Remember, if you hear thunder, you got to go indoors. Potentially some showers early in the morning for the valley, but then what we're more concerned about, those widespread showers and thunderstorms that could start some new fires in the high country. That continues through Wednesday as well. But like I said, we also have a larger fire down near Yosemite. That's putting out a lot of smoke for Yosemite. It's going to put out a lot of smoke for the mother lode for Tahoe through Tuesday afternoon. That is, of course, when it's not raining. As we look at the next 3 days in the valley, temperatures still in those mid to upper 90s. It's hot, but then we've got a bunch of 80s back below seasonal, a taste of maybe what we could say early fall. But regardless, after the hot Labor Day weekend we had, these 80s are going to feel really nice.
Thanks, Brendan. And we now want to head down I-5 to Southern California, where meteorologist Vanessa Paz is in San Diego, keeping an eye on a couple different things going on. We've got thunderstorm potential, we have heat as well, and of course, there's always the beach. What's going down in San Diego, Vanessa?
Happy Tuesday from San Diego, California. I'm CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz. Here is a view from a very popular spot, our Mission Bay area across the waters, Fiesta Island in the distance. All right, here's what's on tap as we kick off our Tuesday. I know a lot of people here in San Diego headed back to work and school, wrapping up their Labor Day weekend. A lot of people had the day off yesterday. As far as this morning, it was very active. We were tracking several thunderstorms to our east. Most of the activity activity was just confined to the northeast quadrant, and things will be on and off in terms of that instability throughout Tuesday, lingering all the way through the end of the week. So here are the headlines as we get the work week going. Thunderstorm showers still out east in the mountains and desert areas. We will remain fairly hot and muggy as that push of monsoon and moisture continues to enter the picture. And in terms of the weekend, we're looking at cooler and much drier conditions ahead. So we do have light at the end of the tunnel in terms of these uncomfortable conditions. We'll just have to wait until the weekend to get there. Here's what's on tap for today's highs, pretty comparable to yesterday. We're talking about highs closer to 80 degrees for a lot of the coastal areas. We'll be in the low 90s this afternoon for the inland valleys. Still have that thunderstorm chance in the mountain areas. As I mentioned, it will continue to linger throughout the week. Highs will be in the upper 80s and will produce highs in near about 100 in our desert communities. In terms of watches, warnings, and advisories, we have a heat advisory. It will expire tonight at 6 o'clock, but it could very well get extended into Wednesday depending on how warm those temperatures continue to linger. The valleys today, the hottest areas will touch in the mid 90s and will be close to 90 degrees as well for the mountain areas. So pretty uncomfortable. And as far as the heat goes, it looks like it will be the worst across the valleys and the mountain communities. So here's what's happening aloft. We have this ridge of high pressure. We have a cutoff low. So this area of low pressure cut off from the jet stream. These two are contributing in pushing in that monsoon and moisture, also known as that easterly flow. Typically, we see westerly flow, a lot of that air coming offshore, onshore, and again, monsoon is just a fancy way of saying it's a shift in wind direction, and that's what we'll continue to see, and that's what will push in some of that moisture, increasing the chance for thunderstorm activity when it comes to the mountain areas, but some of that instability, as we saw this morning, could spill into the valley floors. All right, forecast radar continues to show the chance for some thunderstorm activity as well as showers all the way through tomorrow afternoon into the evening hours. So there is a chance pretty much every single day all the way until the end of the week. When it comes to the valleys, the chances are fairly low, but there still is a chance for some showers, especially looking ahead to Wednesday, and then you see how it kind of starts to drop as we enter the weekend. Overnight lows are going to stay fairly warm in the low 70s and high 60s for our most populated neighborhoods tonight. And looking ahead to tomorrow afternoon, highs are going to touch closer to 80 degrees for the coastal areas and will soar close to 90 degrees, for example, for spots like Escondido for Wednesday. Mid 90s on tap tomorrow for Ramona, and we'll top out in the mid to high 80s for our mountain communities. The coastal and inland areas, it looks like the day of concern is going to be tomorrow. That will be the hottest day of the next 7, and the temperatures will gradually start to drop for the inland valleys. Subtle daily changes when it comes to the coastal areas. Today will be warm, and then we'll drop into the low 70s by the time we hit Friday. So by the weekend, we do have relief from the heat and that monsoonal flow. It looks like we'll be much drier looking ahead to Saturday and Sunday, which is going to be cooperative, especially if anyone has weekend plans. Taking a look at the mountain areas, we'll be in the 80s all the way through the weekend, low hundreds for the desert communities tomorrow afternoon, and we'll stay in that range of the high 90s, low hundreds all the way through the middle of next week for our desert communities.
Thank you, Vanessa. Up after the break, we are going to head back to the Pacific Northwest in Washington and also Portland as well, where heat is on the rise up there too. We'll have those forecasts coming up after the break. Welcome back to Weather Out West. We're going to send things back to the Northwest. You heard from Eastern Washington and Boise already about the heat up there. We're also feeling that in the western parts of Washington and Oregon as well. We are going to begin in Portland with meteorologist Rod Hill and a look at the early September heat settling in there.
And from Portland, I'm meteorologist Rod Hill with this Tuesday forecast. Our big story is a return to 90-degree temperatures, and it's a sudden jolt in the temperature department because yesterday on Labor Day, Portland was only 78 degrees, a little cooler than I thought it would be. But today, all the models say we have sunshine, which we have. We'll keep it all day and we get back up to about 90. So from Vancouver, 91, Portland, 92. This is one weather model projection, and it's about the same down through Salem where it's 93. And then look over on the right side of the television set. There's Hood River, 100 degrees, and there's the Dalles at 103. So that's where the hottest weather would be. The Weather Service has a heat advisory up for the Hood River Valley today out in the gorge, and then a heat warning where temperatures out in the East Gorge will be 100 degrees or better. We have sunshine at the coast today as well, where temperatures are expected to be in the 60s and 70s. So this morning, it's just delightful out there. We don't have any weather-related issues. All of our cameras have been showing sunny skies. Futurecast shows a completely dry day. This is 5 o'clock this afternoon. Now, notice as I play this into tomorrow, you're going to see the clouds come up from the south and then start to bend back toward the west and to the coast. Here comes that cloud flow coming up from the south, bending back from the west. Here's Wednesday afternoon at 4:30, little round of thunderstorm activity in Bend and Bachelor. And the question is, could some of these storms late tomorrow going into the evening hold together and get into the Willamette Valley? This is actually a similar weather flow to what we saw last week. And last week, we had 3 days with thunderstorm activity between Portland and Salem scattered about. And again, like last week, it's nothing I can say it's definitely going to happen. It's nothing I can pinpoint location. It's nothing that I can overly track. I can just tell you it's possible. And actually, you know, the flow is showing up on our Futurecast models. So no rain chance anywhere today. It's all about the sun. And we'll see if the Willamette Valley picks up a scattered storm at some point tomorrow or not. Best chance would be later in the day. So our cameras, I mentioned, all of them show sunshine. Going to be a nice day along the Oregon coast with 60s and low 70s expected. That's the view from Chinook Winds Casino Resort in Lincoln City. Mount Hood has been warm this morning. Temperatures have been well up into the 60s. Beautiful sunshine over the mountain. Afternoon highs at 6,000 feet will be in the 70s. And there's our state capital. A little hazy, but air quality in the Willamette Valley has been good this morning. And even air quality over in Central Oregon, where it was unhealthy a bunch of days last week, has improved and seems to be holding in the moderate category as the wildfires pumping smoke into Central Oregon have really started to lay down, and we're just not getting the smoke output that we have been, so that's good news. Anyway, Portland, you can see the blue skies. We have good air quality. Valley forecast numbers, here they come. It's all about the hot afternoon becoming. The show's 91 in Salem, 92 in McMinnville. Light winds, another day with hardly a breath of wind out there. That's what we've been seeing for really about 2 weeks now. 90 in Battleground this afternoon, hot afternoon winds, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Not unusual to hit 90 in September. We typically do at least a few days. And by the way, the record for today's date in Portland is a whopping 105, by the way. So we're not threatening any records. This shows you the near 90-degree temperatures in Portland down into Albany and Eugene. Shows you the nearing 100 out in the Dalles at 5 o'clock. 90s in Central Oregon, there's Bend at 95, and 90s out farther to the east. Our 7-day, the 3 days of hot weather, 90, 88, 90 on Thursday. I have a spotty storm chance tomorrow, but dry weather today and Thursday. Another shower chance on Friday into Saturday. And you can see the cooling temperatures into the weekend. Right now I show both Saturday and Sunday in the 70s. And at this point, Sunday looks to be dry.
Thanks, Rod. And we now want to head a little bit farther north to Seattle, where meteorologist Rich Marriott is in western Washington, keeping an eye on a heat alert and also some fire alerts that have now been issued from the Seattle metro area.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Rich Marriott, and it's going to be kind of a gray start to the day around western Washington, and a lot of kids heading back to school today. It might make it a little bit easier that it isn't a beautiful sunny summer day out there, and at least it's not a heat wave and it's not raining to start school. And this week it's not going to be that tough for the kids, hopefully, to head back to school. A lot of kids really excited about it, and you see the Everett Tower Cam showing those gray skies out there. There's been a little bit of light fog around as well, but it hasn't interfered with travel at all. And you see there our Queen Anne Tower looking a little gray, and today these clouds are going to burn off more quickly than they did yesterday, and we'll pick up a couple degrees on that. And looking out, you can still see the Tacoma Dome out there. The camera actually sitting right in the base of the clouds here, so not quite as foggy as it would appear. Unless you're on one of the hills, then you're sitting in one of those clouds as well. Looking at our first alert 7-day forecast, you can see we do warm up a little bit today and then a little bit more as we head towards tomorrow, but nothing too excessive. Upper 70s and low to mid 80s, and then we start a little bit of a cool down as we head towards the weekend. And it seems like we've had a lot of that that this summer, where we hit our warmest temperatures midweek and then we cool as we head into the weekend. Looking out this morning, that satellite image actually pretty interesting. First of all, we've got some high clouds just kind of passing through and moving on up towards Vancouver Island, but you can see that marine push overnight really filled in the lowlands of western Washington. You can see it's filled in the river valleys and the strait, but you can also see it's starting to burn off out along the coast already, and that's going to the changes taking place is going to help it clear out more quickly over Puget Sound. The other thing you'll notice out of this too is the smoke haze, especially over there in eastern Washington. It's pretty prevalent. You can kind of see it filtering over towards the west side a little bit, though that's mostly what you're looking at on the west side is pretty much altitude around 5,000 to 6,000 feet and above is where we're seeing most of that smoke that's coming out of eastern Washington and not affecting air quality. I'll show you more of that in just a minute. National Weather Service has put out a heat advisory for the Cascade foothill valleys up there, where you may see a few places moving into the mid 80s to maybe near 90 degrees for the next couple of days. But as soon as you move any distance at all, you're back down into the low to mid 80s or even some 70s as you get towards Puget Sound. We also have, that goes through Thursday, and then we also have a fire weather watch out for the west slopes of the Cascades and the east slopes in Chelan County. That's going to be tomorrow afternoon through tomorrow evening. It's basically because very dry fuels, it's very hot, and there are unstable conditions, so we have an elevated fire danger, and especially tomorrow afternoon, they want to keep a very close watch on that. Checking our high temperatures, you can see around the Seattle area, we don't really get that warm, and a little bit of that has to do with the fact we have that smoke at elevation up there. When you do have a pretty good smoke haze, that does reflect back some of the heat, and it will take the temperatures, the high temperatures down a little bit from what they would get to otherwise. You can see as you get down around the Olympia area, a little bit warmer, pushing into the mid 80s, and then when you get up into those Cascade valleys where you're far away from Puget Sound and then moderating influences of that cold water, you'll see those temperatures possibly push up towards that 90-degree mark for a couple of days, and the reason for the heat advisory. Checking the smoke model in terms of the upper level smoke, you can see quite a bit of smoke moving through in waves. We get a little bit of a break later today, but then another band of that smoke moves on through. Again, not really affecting air quality. If we check it at the surface, you can see it stays pretty much light smoke that we're dealing with on through today and on into tomorrow, and really not having an impact at the surface. And that's been true through much of the summer. We've avoided the worst of that because it stayed pretty much up off the ground. Today, looking for good air quality, and you will see maybe a couple spots drop into the moderate range, but just barely into the moderate range. And at least at this point, we're looking for tomorrow to be pretty much good air quality down in the central and south sound, but we may see a little bit of smoke coming down out of Canada tomorrow, which will drop us down in the moderate range up there to the north. Taking a look at our temperatures today, you can see that difference between being near the water and not. Looking at the upper 60s to low to mid 70s there in Whatcom County, but when you get at the interior there around Diablo Lake and that area, you'll see temperatures getting into the 90s. Quite a sharp contrast, and kind of seeing that you got your cooler temperatures, low to mid 70s near the water for Snohomish County, and temperatures pushing into the 80s as you move into the interior valleys and all the way down through the area. Seeing the low 80s around Seattle today, and then we'll see those temperatures as you get inland, especially over the Cascade passes, up into the mid to upper 80s. Real sharp east-west difference, and about the same thing happening there around the South Sound. Checking out towards the coast, a cool day out there along the coastal beaches, mid to upper 60s. Looking for the mid to upper 80s as you move down that I-5 corridor south of Seattle, and then out of towards the Olympic Peninsula, 60s along the coast. We've seen this a lot this summer, into the 80s as you move inland a bit, and some low to mid 80s on the east side of the Olympics. And overall for Puget Sound, those clouds give way to sunshine. 70s to low 80s today. We're going to see mostly sunny skies and warm temperatures for Wednesday and Thursday. We'll see it cool a little bit Friday, and then Saturday partly sunny. There's a slight chance of seeing a sprinkler, maybe a light shower. We're still watching that closely. Won't amount to much, it doesn't look like. And then we'll be back to partly sunny Sunday. Highs over the weekend in the mid 70s, and we start off next week with partly sunny skies and temperatures in the low to mid 70s.
Northern lights in parts of the United States last night. We're going to take a check of some of those visuals and show you who saw what in the U.S. Welcome back to Weather Out West. We now want to send things to Arizona, where Ginger Jeffries is keeping an eye on a couple isolated showers, but also some relatively cooler temperatures in Arizona.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries with a look at your weather out west across Arizona, where once again we are seeing monsoon moisture, not just today, not just tomorrow, but it's going to be with us all week long with our healthiest opportunity to pick up some measurable rainfall here in Phoenix coming around, Thursday and Friday. Now, the big impact will be temperature wise. Even though so many of these showers are very spotty, they're very isolated, they're very pocketed, the global impact will be temperatures are coming way down. Highs today, well, you can see we still have some showers, and I think a lot of the impact will be on the west side of the state today as opposed to yesterday where we saw it on the south and the east. But look at the numbers. We've got 97 today in Yuma, 100 in Quartzsite, 103 in Havasu. So clearly, because of the moisture and the cloud cover to the west, numbers are down. Meantime, central areas in Phoenix, we're going for highs of about 108 degrees. This is above our normal range of 104, but of course, nowhere close to record territory. So we're kind of somewhere in the middle. Meantime, through the rim and higher elevations, yep, we still have those pop-up showers and daytime highs at about 80 in Flagstaff, 87 in Payson, and I'm looking for 98 in Tucson. So today, this morning, even though we shouldn't be picking up any measurable rainfall, anytime we see a cloud bank like this, we've got an opportunity to spring a leak in the atmosphere. We saw it last week. We could, of course, see it out there this morning. Then it's going to lift, and here we go. This is when it starts to get active after about 3 o'clock. And notice this is not some steady wall of thunderstorms or moisture. These are pocketed storms that can be severe. Got a feel for that last night as we saw some dust, especially from the Santan Valley up into the east side of the metro. But I mentioned today should be for the most part to the west side. At least that's where we're going to see the most severe impact. Monsoon meter calling for a 2 overhead, but again, 5s in northern and western Arizona. So what does that mean? We're looking for a good chance for large hail, possibly a dust storm caused from that outflow. And then, of course, severe winds always accompany systems like this. And there's an outside chance to see some localized flooding. For the valley, remember, we have a 2, which means we could see some small hail, some blowing dust, and some locally heavy downpours. How does that play out? Next 3 days, watch this. As I mentioned, you're going to see some showers, a lot of it approaching from the south and hugging the west side, but we are going to see it spread out. Then into Wednesday and Thursday, you're going to see more substantial, more widespread coverage. So we're really going to start to see it increase as far as our storm chances into Thursday, when I think we've got our best bet. So Thursday, that also should mean our temperatures are coming down. So remember, lasting impact will be the temperatures, but be ready for storms throughout the week into the weekend. I mean, look at this. High country, 50 to 70% by Friday. Yeah, White Mountains, that's going to be your peak of the storm activity. And then as we get into Phoenix Thursday and Friday, you can see that's going to be our best bet as far as our most widespread coverage for some shower activity. So what are we looking for? When all is said and done, you can see the blues indicating up to an inch of rain. I don't think we're going to see that for the metro, but I do expect to see, again, accumulated rainfall this week should get over a 1/10 of an inch, approaching 2/10 of an inch, maybe, which again, for the desert, for summer, during monsoon, it's what we need, right? So here we go. 7-day forecast coming your way. Note the numbers, sizable drop. This is what I was talking about with that lasting, more global impact. After today, we're really going to start feeling it with the bottom line is, yeah, heavy storms will be a feature in the forecast, really peaking for us by Thursday and Friday. And as you can see, temperatures drop from 108 today to the mid 90s on Friday. And in fact, this weekend, we're staying in the double digits.
Double digits. I know everyone in Arizona is celebrating that. All right, up next, we want to send things over to Denver, where our team is keeping an eye on really comfortable conditions out there. Plus, have you ever looked out in the horizon and seen what looks like rain, but it doesn't quite hit the ground? It's called Virga. We'll have an explanation of that right now.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team meteorologist Kathy Sabin, and we are enjoying a beautiful weather pattern in this new week and first full week of the new month of September. High pressure is building in over the area, and it's separating an area of low pressure off to the west from an area of cold air that's coming in from Canada into the Midwest and Great Lakes region. With the storm track north of us, limited moisture will be available for storms or cloud cover in the afternoon. That tropical monsoon plume is kind kind of being cut off, but there's enough moisture coming in that we do have the chance for an isolated gusty thunderstorm each afternoon, but mainly along the spine of the Continental Divide. The heavier rain and thunderstorms with the greatest impact will be found in the Midwest, the Great Lakes, the Central Plains states, and we're also monitoring some tropical moisture that may feed northward into Colorado from kind of the Baja Peninsula area. The moisture is pretty limited for Colorado in terms of showers and thunderstorm, but there's a little bit out there. So an isolated gusty storm over elevated terrain or along the Front Range foothills is certainly possible. But you'll notice on Futurecast today, we start mostly sunny statewide. By 2:30, there's a little bit of cloud cover and a couple of storms coming down from the northwest, just isolated storms, not looking at any rain in Denver today. And temperatures this morning will start in the mid-50s, warm to the mid-80s by this afternoon. Average high is 85, and we may be a degree or two warmer than that with abundant sunshine. So a wonderful start to September. We have 86 today, 85 tomorrow, 88 on Thursday. And notice how limited the moisture is for storms. A wind shift brings us to 78 Friday. And then by the weekend, our Broncos' first football game of the season, will be tracking the chance for a late day shower or storm both Saturday or Sunday. And then Monday, we're back to sunshine and 81 degrees.
Well, have you ever gone outside and you see a cloud that looks just like this? I mean, look at it's really beautiful. But what is it? Well, that's called virga. It almost looks like a floating jellyfish, almost looks like cotton candy as well. But why does this happen? Well, I'm about to break it down for you so you can exactly understand what virga is. So here's a graphic that we made. What is virga? Of course, we know what precipitation is. Whenever rain just rains traditionally, it actually reaches the ground, right? Well, rain also falls from the clouds. We know that. But virga is when there's such a warm and hot day that is so warm at the surface, but a little bit cooler at the top of the base of the clouds, because we do know those clouds are very high up in the atmosphere, but once again, very dry and warm at the surface. Of course, we're at the surface. So what happens is that rain doesn't quite make it to reach the ground, and it starts to evaporate. And sometimes along with that, we can start to see some gusty conditions, and that's the reason we start to say there's gusty chance for some isolated showers. So if we talk about our forecast for this afternoon, we've been saying all morning there's a chance for a gusty shower or two. I know some people probably don't understand exactly what that means, but that's what it is, virga. So we're going to start to see that down towards the San Juans this afternoon, and then also up towards the foothills. Noticing there's some spotty showers, and the reason that we know that could possibly be some gusty showers is because it's just a nice and warm day this afternoon. We're talking about the upper 80s here in the metro area, and so we're seeing the dry conditions as well with those dew points. So we just don't believe that we're actually going to see the rain make it to the ground. So we can use our understanding of what virga is to forecast virga as well. So that's what we can expect this afternoon. If you see those clouds today, go ahead and send those pictures in.
Thank you, Jaden. You always have the best explanations. All right, still ahead after the break, we're going to take a check of our national forecast. Julie Martin is here with a look at the big picture. Welcome back to Weather Out West. We've talked about the West Coast weather. Now let's take a step back and look at the big picture. Julie Martin is here with a look at the national forecast.
Well, for your Tuesday, we will stay very hot in the west. We could see some record-setting temperatures in places like Portland, in through Washington State. Also, unsettled across the south. We'll see a few storms there, and very cool as we get into the central and northern parts of the U.S. with a strong cold front setting up. Here's a look at those temperatures then for your Tuesday. 79 in Minneapolis, 79 in Des Moines. We'll see the 80s across the mid-south, into the 70s in places like Knoxville and Huntsville. So exceptionally cool weather here for this time of year. Also into New England and the Northeast up the I-95 corridor, we're going to see those 70s, so very comfortable here across the eastern half of the U.S. Not so much, though, as we head west. Look at this, Spokane, Boise, you're going to be close to 100 degrees. As I mentioned, this is a dangerous heat. We could see some records there in the west. So we do have the heat watches, warnings, advisories all here in orange white, and red. That goes for much of Washington State and Oregon. It's a dangerous heat, so take it easy out there. I know a lot of folks don't have air conditioning in this part of the country, so going to have to find some ways to stay cool. Looking at a severe weather threat on the low end, a level 1 out of 5 here for places like Minneapolis. Could see a few storms firing up later on this afternoon into this evening with some hail and damaging winds all possible. Watching the tropics right now, the National Hurricane Center is giving this area off the African coast about a 30% chance of developing over the next 2 days, but a good chance of developing, a 70% chance over the next week. And this could certainly become a tropical depression by then as it nears closer to the Caribbean. Could become Tropical Storm Gabrielle. It's just too early to tell, but we're going to keep you posted on that. Let's take you region by region now. As I mentioned, hot in the west, Spokane and Boise, you're going to be in those mid to high 90s. The excessive heat advisory is lasting throughout much of the week for you. Phoenix, you'll be in the triple digits. Comfortable there in San Diego and Denver, though, with those 80s. Heading into Texas, we'll stay pretty hot throughout with triple digits for you in Austin by Thursday. Across the mid-south and the deep south, not too bad. We actually have a pretty comfortable air mass in place for places like Atlanta, Little Rock. You'll be in the 80s. Could see a few storms though. And into the Midwest and Mid-South we go with those 80s and even 70s by the latter part of the week for you there in Louisville. Minneapolis, you're going to drop down into the 60s over the next couple of days. Comfortable there in Des Moines with the 70s. Grand Rapids and Indy, you're going to be also staying very comfortable. And it looks like a really nice weather pattern here across the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic region. Norfolk, you're going to be in the 80s. Portland in the 70s. DC in the mid-80s.
Thank you, Julie. And Julie showed you the tropical activity in the Atlantic, but we, of course, in Weather Out West, care about the Pacific. So let's take you to the activity in the Eastern Pacific. We actually do have 2 different storms that are cooking right now. We'll start with Kiko. Hurricane Kiko is on the left-hand side of your screen. And the good thing about Kiko, you can see Kiko heads off to the west, but stays really over the Pacific the whole time and is not expected to have any land impacts. However, you see Hawaii there on the left side of your screen. Could send some nice waves to Hawaii. So that will have surfers rejoicing, but Kiko is expected to become a major hurricane here in the next couple of days. And so we'll watch Kiko through this work week. I want to also point your attention toward Lorena. Lorena has officially become a tropical storm and is expected to become a hurricane. Now, Lorena will have more impacts because you can see Lorena hugs that west coast of Mexico. So that is going to be much more impactful. If you have any Mexico vacations planned, or people down there certainly will feel the impacts, especially around Baja, Mexico. So Lorena is expected to become a hurricane, not a major hurricane at this point, but a hurricane, at least a Category 1 as we head into the next couple of days. So we will keep an eye on Tropical Storm Lorena here in the Pacific. All right, that was a check of all of our forecasts, but still to come, we do want to talk about the Northern Lights. Parts of the United States did have some nice viewing last night. Check that out. That's actually the view from space. We'll talk about that and show you what people in the United States could see still ahead. Welcome back finally today on Weather Out West. Let's take things up a little bit in the atmosphere. We told you about the potential for some Northern Lights viewing. Unfortunately, in the west, we had a little bit of smoke that diminished the viewing potential in Washington, which did have a shot, but we did get some cool other visuals, so let's share those with you now. First, oh my goodness, check this out. This is the solar flare last night from an astronaut that captured it in space. Usually the Northern Lights have a little more of a greenish hue, but one NASA astronaut captured an amazing crimson-lined aurora orbiting Earth. So spectacular. Red auroras like this only happen 2 or 3 times during a 6-month mission to the International Space Station. That is one lucky astronaut right there. Now we want to show you back here on Earth. The Northern Lights were seen across several states and parts of Canada. Canada had a much better shot. This is a live stream video broadcast from Maine. You can see that faint aurora glow. And oh, there it is right there. A shooting star is captured passing through the sky. We actually did have a couple meteor showers that are possible right now. So that's likely one of those meteor showers. You can see it's absolutely beautiful views. Several geomagnetic storms have already caused notable northern light displays over the past year, including, do you remember last May? That was the Northern Lights display that dropped down, and a good chunk of the United States were able to see that. So thank you to everybody who shared those visuals. That does it for us on this episode of Weather Out West. It is Tuesday, September, can't believe it, 2nd. We will be back right here, same time, same place tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.